One of the things that I absolutely love about astrology is that oftentimes it can give you a how to guide on a particular subject. And this week in particular, that subject is finances. But maybe not in the way that you may think, and perhaps not in the way that anyone is talking about right now. We have a major transit at the end of the week that may really put the focus on our finances, but in an indirect kind of way. And then when you add the rest of the astrology for the week, it's almost like the universe is saying, all right, if you address this, change this, and do this, you can start to see more momentum when it comes to your finances. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't hey, do these affirmations or market yourself according to your midheaven. It's not that kind of technical. This is more internal work. It may not be the easiest work, but it perhaps is the most rewarding. And this is the week where we can really tap into that. So, if you want to know more, if you're curious about this transit, and more importantly, how to work with it, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you're new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, like I said in the intro, this is a week that could really find you sort of focusing on your finances. And it's almost like the universe is sort of giving us a how to guide on how to gain financial momentum. Now, one of the things that always kind of discourages me about a lot of the content out there when it comes to astrology and finances is that it's often very much sort of conveyed in this way of how to literally amass money, make money, be famous, like if that makes sense. The energy of this week doesn't necessarily speak to that directly. This is more about financial momentum. It's about getting things moving in the right direction. So maybe things are stagnant for you in that regard, right? This is about how to get the wheels turning, not necessarily how to make $1,000 tomorrow, okay? And momentum is important, right? Because momentum, it's like the snowball effect, right? Or it's even like a train leaving the station. Although you may not be at your destination, at least you are getting there. And that's how I feel that the astrology of this week is. So, like I said, we have a major transit this week, which is a Chiron entering Taurus. I don't see too much about this, but it's actually kind of a big deal, right? And Taurus, that is the bull, that is finances. And so, this is going to put perhaps a direct emphasis on our finances, but more so the things that are holding us back from being wealthy, being abundant, all of those things, having the things that we want. We have the opportunity to address that. And then the rest of the astrology for the week, at least the important stuff, is kind of supporting that. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into it. But before we get into all of the details, I want to talk about what I've got going on right now because right now I've got some really great offerings that can either help you get on the right track, just generally speaking, or if you got some things going on for the summer, it could really help you with that. So first and foremost, if you want a natal chart reading, the blueprint is where it's at. That is my signature natal chart experience. I hesitate to even call it a reading because it's an experience. It's actually 3 readings in one. It's chock full of information, and it is really not only helping you understand how you designed, but also helping you understand what chapter you're in right now in life and also what's going on right now. It's a very comprehensive service. So if you're interested in that, the link to the blueprint is in the description box below. If you're not sure, if you kind of want to know more, then book a clarity call with me. That's sort of the first step when it comes to booking the blueprint. Okay. Next, I literally just launched Astrocartography Translated. I'm so proud of this because it is a masterclass if you're really interested in astrocartography. And not even so much if you're interested in it in a very technical way. Like if you have decisions to make, if you need to move, if you want to plan an amazing trip, if you're trying to experience something in particular, astrocartography is really helpful for that. So this is a masterclass and it is a personalized map insight. So for this summer, you not only get the master class, but you have the option of a reading from me. It's a mini reading that can really help you hone in on 3 different locations or 3 different intentions that you're trying to experience right now. It's a wonderful service if that's your thing, all right? And so if you're interested in that, it's tagged to the video as well as in the description box below. And last but not least, maybe you just want to know what's good right now. I have this thing called your summer theme, okay? And it's a quick and dirty transit reading for the summer. So basically, I look at your natal chart, I look at the transits for the summer, and I tell you what the hell is going on, what you can expect, what themes are going to come up. It's a pre-recorded reading. You submit a form, and then within 7 days, you get this reading that tells you what to anticipate, what themes are going to come up. It's a really great way to not only understand the energy of the moment for yourself, but also to become acquainted with how I work. Okay. And so if you're interested in that, the link is also in the description box below. So I've got tons of offerings and I've got a lot of great stuff going on this summer. So check all of that out. Again, link is in the description box below. All right. So the major transit that's happening this week is Chiron entering Taurus. And I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about it. Chiron isn't a planet, it's an asteroid. I actually did a whole video on it. So I'll put the link in the description box below. But Chiron is going to be entering Taurus for the summer, but it won't officially enter Taurus like legit until 2027. So we're kind of getting a taste of it right now. And when you think about Taurus, Taurus is about possessions. It's about material things. It's about money, right? Think of the bull on Wall Street. That is Taurus. And I feel like Chiron going into Taurus, it's sort of solidifying some of the other energy that's, present right now. And I think that's why I put on the thumbnail for this video, be bold, because that's kind of what we're being asked to do, but in a way that may be a little more indirect and in a way that you may not expect. So, Chiron is going into Taurus. It's going to have us addressing our insecurities, our hangups, basically, whatever is standing in the way between you and the financial story that you want, right? We're going to sort of be tasked with addressing those things. But that's not the whole story. Okay. So Chiron is going into Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. And so, what is Venus doing right now? Venus actually just went into Leo, okay? And this is important because Venus and Leo is like, girl, you need to be bold. You need to be courageous. Now, being bold and being courageous is not the entire story when it comes to Venus and Leo. Venus and Leo is also like, be yourself, be authentic, take up space, don't be afraid to shine, all of those things. But as it pertains to finances and sort of this energy of Chiron and Taurus, it's really about being bold and sort of doing something different, being courageous to really address the things that are standing in your way. And then what's even more sort of beautiful when it comes to the energy of the moment is that Venus is also going to be working with other planets this week that really creates this how-to guide on how to do this. Okay. So, step number 1 with Venus and Leo, be bold and be courageous. Okay. Now, this could be you really getting in touch with what it is that you want to be doing, who you are. And these are important because when it comes to money, oftentimes we have to approach it from a survival sort of stance, right? Well, I need a job, I need money, I have to do this. And yes, that is all well and good. And I will never invalidate that. But Venus and Leo is like, what is it that you want to be doing? Who are you? Is what you're doing, is how you are making money, is how you are attracting money, really in alignment with who you truly are. This could be the roadblock that's standing in your way right now. And I'm not saying it's easy to just get up and sort of make money from what you love doing. That could be a process, but this could be the week where you actually start thinking about it or where it becomes too loud to ignore. So Venus and Leo is like, girl, who are you? What are you doing? And is this even right for you? Does this make sense for you? Leo is all about being an individual. Leo is all about having heart for something. And when you have heart for something, it really speaks to your authenticity. So are you in this authentically, or are you just doing this to get by? That's sort of the question that Venus in Leo may be asking you. Now, the caveat here is that this all depends on where this is happening in your natal chart, okay? And again, if you want to understand where this is happening in your natal chart, sign up for your summer theme. I'll be able to directly tell you how this affects you, right? But this could be, are you authentic in your career? Are you authentic in your work? Are you authentic in your relationships? This definitely plays a part in this because Chiron and Taurus doesn't just have to do with, okay, maybe you have a lack mentality, right? Maybe it's a self-worth thing that you may have to address. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But step one, be bold and be courageous, okay? Now, step two, this has to do with the new moon in Gemini. And at the time that I'm filming this and the time that this video is published, we'll still be under the energy of this new moon, okay? So as it pertains to this new moon, step number two is tell a different story. The one thing I love about Gemini energy is that it represents narratives, it represents communication. And often, especially depending on wherever Gemini is in your chart, this could be the communication you have with yourself. These are your thoughts. This is your narrative. What is your narrative about money? What is your narrative about wealth? Maybe it needs some fine tuning. Maybe it needs some changing right now. Uranus is currently in Gemini. So perhaps how you think about money, your beliefs about money, what you tell yourself about money is either rapidly changing or there's more information that's changing that narrative that's becoming available to you right now. But either way, step number two is change the story. How do you speak to yourself about not just money, but your self-worth? What things, how do you value things? How do you value yourself? This may not even be a lack mentality kind of thing. This could be, what am I worth? Am I charging what I'm worth? Am I getting paid based on my actual value, right? Those are important questions that perhaps that this new moon in Gemini has sparked within you, right? Maybe you're thinking about things a little differently. If not, you can tap into the energy by thinking differently, by telling a new story, okay? One of the things, especially that I think that Uranus and Gemini can ask us, I think the most important question that the universe is asking us is, what do you think is possible? Oftentimes we limit ourselves because we think that things are not possible. They just can't change. And I feel like Uranus and Gemini generally can help dispel a lot of those myths, can help break that ceiling, right, of possibility that you've set for yourself. So when it comes to finances and telling a new story, what do you think is possible? And can you begin to think of the impossible or what you perceive to be as impossible? Either way, step number two, change the story. Now, here's where things get interesting. Okay. Step number three is going to be stay open to new possibilities. This is because Venus is going to be sextile to Uranus. Uranus is the planet of surprises, of sudden changes. And it kind of builds on step number two, which was tell yourself a different story, right? What do you think is possible? I think that Venus sextile Uranus can show you new possibilities that are perhaps outside of the purview of what you believe reality can be for you. Long story short, the universe may show you, okay, you can do this, you can have that, you are worth this, even if you don't currently believe it. But you have to be open. You have to be mentally flexible in order to, I feel like in order to do any of this, if I'm being honest, right? But in order to stay open to possibilities, to recognize these new possibilities, you have to be flexible. Suspend your disbelief, suspend what you believe reality to be. And I'm not even saying this in a woo woo, sort of manifestation, affirmation sort of way. Like literally, when you want to do something different, right? I want you to think of like inventors. That's very much the energy of Uranus. It's all about innovation and invention. There are people who create things that never existed before, right? Now, it could be either improving on something that currently exists, or you just use your imagination to create something brand spanking new. It's like jailbreaking your mind. And that's really what I feel Uranus and Gemini is to begin with, right? So when it comes to financial momentum, you kind of need to jailbreak your mind right now. You kind of need to say, okay, this is where I've been limiting myself mentally. This is where I have only believed that such and such is possible, that I have to work an hourly job or a salary job in order to make money, in order to have the things that I want. I feel like Venus sextile Uranus is like, oh, anything is possible. Girl, and especially with Venus in Leo. Venus in Leo is like getting paid to exist, getting paid to be you. So maybe that's something that you want to think about right now. How could I really be myself and get paid for it? And jailbreak your mind when you think about that, right? Don't limit yourself mentally and stay open to new possibilities because the universe is really going to serve them up this week. Then the universe is like, oh, not only do I want you to stay open to new possibilities and opportunities, but I want you to think bigger. Okay. And this is because Venus is going to be trine to Neptune. So Venus is in Leo, Neptune is in Aries. These are two fire signs. This is why this week is about momentum. It's like this new vision, right? This bigger vision is the fuel that you are adding to your car or to this train that can help move you forward. Remember, I said this is about momentum. This bigger vision can be the fuel for this momentum. What is something new that you want to implement here? When we talk about Venus and Leo, we talk about being yourself, getting paid to exist, being bold. And then when you add Aries on top of that, Aries is like, oh, we starting some new shit. Aries is like that firecracker energy. So this is a wonderful time to tap into your passions. Now, again, I'm not trying to invalidate the sign of the times, right? Things can be very difficult. However, this new vision can be the start of something new, obviously, but it could be the start of a real change, right? So think bigger. Think more passionately. Be a little risky too. Aries loves taking risks and being a bit impulsive. So, this new vision, you don't want to limit it by your circumstances. You don't want to limit it by what you think is possible. If there is something that you really want, you've got a fire in your belly for this thing. And it really speaks to who you are about. Hold that vision. Keep in mind, this is just a vision. This may not necessarily be the time to embark on this vision, right? Because we do have some other work to do, okay? But start implementing it. Make that vision a part of this momentum. That's what's going to help you get started. And this cementing that vision in your mind is also what's going to help keep you going because this is the new trajectory. This is the new destination. And this vision is the fuel in the car or in the train or in the plane or in the boat that's going to help you get there. All right. Now, this is what I love about the universe, especially if you are tapped into it in its authentic form, let me say that. So we're all like, okay, we're telling ourselves a different story. We're being brave. We are jailbreaking our mind. We have a new vision. But then the universe is also like, expect resistance. Okay. And this is step number 5. Because as much as Pluto is going to be vibing with Uranus and really communing beautifully and harmoniously with Neptune, she is also going to oppose Pluto. And Pluto was like, oh, baby, not so fast. Expect resistance. And this is where things get real, but real is good. Resistance is good. Venus opposite Pluto is like, okay, we have this vision. We want to move forward, but we're scared. Or we self sabotage, or our scarcity thinking, our lack mentality comes up, right? That's the resistance. Or maybe it's even the opinions of others or what other people are doing, right? And it sort of stops us in our tracks. This is a good thing. This shows you what you need to work on. Remember, I said Chiron and Taurus is kind of going to show us our roadblocks when it comes to, wealth, when it comes to money, material things, when it comes to finances, self-worth, self-esteem, and value. Venus and Pluto, helps us to see that. That resistance is going to show us what is standing in our way. You can't work on the obstacles, you can't work through the hangups if you don't know what they are. And I feel like Venus opposite Pluto is going to do that. So when you are met with resistance, if you are met with resistance, it's not a bad thing. It's information. It's like, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to let go of. This is a bad habit. This is a negative obsession that I have, right? Lean into it so that you can start working on those things. Okay. It's going to be super important. And like I said, I love that because the universe is like, all right, it's not just roses and rainbows. It's not just, oh, this big vision and I'm feeling amped and I want to make money being who I am. The universe is also like, well, you're also here on earth and you've also had money issues in the past. Or you have no idea of your true value, of your true worth, right? Or maybe you've had some kind of trauma where maybe you lost everything or you lost a job and you're thinking about how, why would I even try again, because that might happen again. The universe is like, I need you to see this so that you can work on it. That's the beauty of it. All right, so that is step number 5. And then finally, step number 6, Chiron and Taurus, which is all about healing the root wound. Now, like I said, Venus opposite Pluto is going to help you with that. It's going to show you the resistance. But when you see the resistance, Chiron and Taurus is like, all right, where does this come from? Why do we think this? Why do we feel this way? Right? What insecurities do I have? When was I undervalued? Right? When did I lose things? When was I too uh when was I too, what am I trying to say? I want to say like overconsumption. Like when did I spend too much? Right? When was I doing the most? Chiron and Taurus wants you to understand the root cause of that. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Chiron generally, Chiron is known as the wounded healer, but Chiron was also a teacher. So when it comes to the energy of Chiron, it's really about once you address the wound, you now become the teacher. You have mastered it. So you can, it's like you know more. You know, like when I say, I always like to say, when you know better, you do better, right? Chiron and Taurus is like, once you address that wound, now you are doing better because you know better, right? It's this mastery over this insecurity or this fear. Okay. So Chiron and Taurus is like, when have I not felt worthy? When have I not felt like I was enough? Are there trust issues? Are there insecurity issues? Insecurity in terms of how I feel or instability in terms of my resources, right? These are the things that are going to come up. And by addressing them and working through them, right, you master them. This is the true heart of this financial momentum. So, like I said, this is not sort of getting more money because, Venus is, aspecting Jupiter right now. This is internal work. And that's really how wealth begins, right? Wealth is feminine. When we think about money, we talk about like having things. That's very Taurus energy. But we also talk about currency and your financial flow, right? That's very much the moon, both feminine, right? So when we talk about financial momentum, it has to come from within. That is the realm of feminine energy, okay? But the beauty of it is Venus is currently in Leo. Leo is a masculine sign, right? It's masculine energy. It is expressive. So it's almost like we're simultaneously going within, especially with Chiron and Taurus, to exert this financial momentum, which is very much the realm of Venus in Leo. Okay. So suffice it to say, the energy of this week is helping you to get right from within when it comes to finances, when it comes to worth, when it comes to self esteem, And again, I love how the universe is kind of just setting everything up step by step. We've got Venus in Leo, we've got the new moon in Gemini, we've got Venus sextile Uranus, Venus trine Neptune, even Venus opposite Pluto, and then Chiron is Taurus. Again, it's how to guide on how to gain financial momentum. All right, my loves. So I hope that that made sense. The way that I interpret astrology may not be the same as other astrologers, but trust and believe it is extremely valuable. All right. And so that's all I got for you for this video. So sound off in the comments below. Where is Taurus in your chart? This can sort of tell you how this can play out. Now, it's not going to be directly correlated to money. This could be relationships, could be family, it could be work even, right? But that's sort of the underlying current when it comes to building financial momentum. It is addressing those wounds, getting to the root of them and mastering them. All right. So let me know in the comments below, where is Taurus in your chart? All right. Again, if you want to work with me, all of the information that you need is in the description box below. All right, my loves. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.